Hello YouTube, this is Matt Pullen, and we're going to try another live Blitz game on the chess.com server, where my rating is still fairly low. So, yeah, let's hope that I do all right. Here we go. So, start game. I've accepted a challenge against a 1348. I think I'll begin with d4. And I will play the... let's delay the decision for a little bit with knight f3 and see what kind of a... Okay, so he's playing an irregular line, so I think I'll jump in with the knight e5 and possibly play c4, queen b3 to try to exploit his b7 pawn. I don't remember the specifics of this. Maybe if he if he tries to retreat his bishop, playing g4 is another idea to try and gain some time in that area. But I'll play c4 here with the idea of queen b3 coming up and putting pressure on his compromised queen side. So because the knight is on e5, I can sometimes advance the pawn to e4 as a sacrifice to play bishop b5 check. For instance, cd, except cd he has queen takes d. Maybe I play knight c3 first. Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of this. Knight c3, then he maybe plays f6. So I take. And he plays... I'll play knight c3. That looks pretty healthy. If he plays f6, maybe queen a4 check is annoying for him. Also, knight c3, it deprives him of the ability to play bishop takes b1. So I'm putting more pressure on the center. I'm possibly threatening to play, c takes d followed by e4 here, which would then threaten bishop b5 check. His light squares on the queen side are particularly weak here. I mean, I know bishop g4 is a playable move, but I don't think he's supposed to play it like this. All right, knight f6. My thought here is, can I play f3 and e4? Or do I just take on d5, or do I play e4 right away? I'm trying to remember what is best here. Bishop g5 I don't think helps because it promotes his development. He'll play bishop e7. So I'm thinking of taking here and then playing e5. So, all right, let's do this exchange and see what he takes with. If e takes d, then see, can I play e4 here? All right, he took with knight. And if knight takes, he'll definitely take with queen. E4 here, he has to take on c3. I take back with b pawn, and he plays bishop takes, and he gets back to his long diagonal, so I can't do that. Although I can play f3 here with the idea of e4. Again, I don't like knight takes d because he plays queen takes d. Although queen a4 check, I guess, is an option for me. But no, I'll play f3 with the idea of e4, trying to exploit the fact that I've now have a center pawn advantage, and he's got this bishop on f5 that's not so great. So, all right, queen takes, gets on the c file, but I'm walking into a potential pin against my king. If he plays something like knight a6, I have to respect his bishop b4 threat. So I think I'll just pawn take, come towards the center and improve my position. Even though the queen on the c file, which is weak for him, could be a good tactical pointer. Now, maybe if I had taken queen takes, he just plays c5. All right, he played c5 anyway, but I don't think this is very good because I can play e4, hitting his bishop on f5, and then this comes in, and this is just looking... I mean, he has to play king e7 here, doesn't he? This is looking kind of real. King e7, what do I do? If I play bishop g5 check, he pushes f6, and then can I attack the e6 pawn any further? All right, bishop g5 check, f6, knight takes g, h takes g. I don't think I have anything there. So I can play bishop a3. with the idea of, getting on the same diagonal as his king, threatening c5, also threatening rook d1 to get on the d file. If he plays a6, what do I do? Just retreat to e2? I like this move. It seems healthy, developing another piece and getting on his, attacking his king. If he plays f6, maybe I just take on g6. Or knight d3 to f4 to try to attack his e6 pawn, but then he just drops his bishop back to f7, and his bishop is a useful defender. So I think I have to chop if he plays f6. Chop on g6, that is. a6 would be a good move for him, I think, forcing my, but I'll just take this, and he plays h takes, and bishop c4 is going to attack his e6 pawn. But do I play rook d1 first, or do I take on c5 first? I like the idea of rook d1, getting the rook on the same file as his queen, and then threatening to take on c5. Alright, here I could just take on c5 or bishop c4 first. Takes on c5, looks stronger attacking his queen. And then he's hitting h2, possibly threatening rook takes h2. I could play bishop c4 here. Or I could take on b6. I like bishop c4. Even though the bishop on b5 was potentially quite good, because the bishop and rook were both aiming at the d7 square, I didn't see any concrete variation that, leaving the bishop on b5. And I mean, if I had taken, he would just place queen takes, and now he's threatening queen e3 check. In addition, the bishop on a3, the bishop on f8. That tension doesn't necessarily favor me. Alright, so here, his queen goes to d. What is he threatening? Anything in particular? I think I could just take on b6 here. Alright. See, now can I push to b7? I think pushing to b7, threatening to take his rook. Nice, intermediate move there. See, if he plays rook takes h2, I think I can just take with rook and let him play queen takes h2. And play king f2. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, and I guess my opponent resigned. But he's offering me a rematch, so sure. Alright, so what do I want to play here? I've been playing the Sicilian, so I think I will stick with that. So see if he knows anything against this queen b6 move. The idea of making the knight move to an inferior square and then planning to retreat the queen to c7. Just play like a Scheveningen structure. But with inserting the moves queen b6, knight b3 to put his knight on a less active square. I think I have to play a6 here to stop his, him from playing like bishop e3, knight b5. Or can I just play d6? No, I think a6 is a must. If I remember from playing the time enough, queen c7 is very dangerous to play queen c7 and not play a6 for too long. And this might very well transpose into a Taimanov now, but with his the knight retreat to b3. So here I might consider ideas like knight g4, knight e5, except well, not in this position, of course, because it's hanging. Maybe bishop b4 here, threatening e4, but then he just plays f3. But I can play d4. So possibly, or I can just play b5 and try and threaten to drive the knight away in that be some tricks with bishop f3. Alright, is there a trick here? Can I just take this? Queen takes e5, bishop f4. Where's my queen go on bishop f4? Yeah, that's bad. I'd have to go to f5, and that looks like awkward. So what about taking with knight? If he plays bishop f4, just d6. I think that could be solid for me. Did he just hang a pawn? Alright, he's thinking for a long time on this move, which suggests that he may have made an error in playing this pawn to e5 prematurely. I think he should have played like pawn to f3. But you know, still, I have a reasonable time in all of that. You know, where I just continue bishop b7, and then not necessarily you know, move the d pawn right away. All right, he's playing on. Bishop g5. He might be threatening to take and, you know, double the pawns. I could just allow that and then play like bishop b7. You know, to get on the long diagonal. And if he wants to double the pawns, okay. It might even help me with my g file. You know, put rook g8 and, you know, gain pressure on the g2 pawn. I mean, clearly white is not going to castle short in this position. I just have, you know, I have too much power on the king side, so he's going to castle long. And I don't necessarily want to grab that pawn on g2 right away, because then he plays rook g1 and gets on the g file, you know, before I can. So maybe play pawn h5 there, you know, with a, you know, crude threat of bishop h6. And then also possibly supporting knight g4. So h5 is a move. I guess d5 is a move, but it breaks up my pawn triangle. Knight c4 is a move. Rook c8 is a move. I kind of like h5 because it has two purposes. You know, supporting the knight going to g4 and also threatening bishop h6. If he plays pawn f4 in response, I think I play knight g4. So let's just play this, and if he plays king b1, just getting off of the diagonal where he could be pinned, maybe bishop h6 anyway. I have to be careful about my d7 pawn since he has his queen and rook on the d file. Alright, he's hanging my knight. Do I play bishop h6 and pin it? Do I continue with the knight g4 move, or do I play knight c4 now? Knight c4, I think he has to take because of, you know, his f4 pawn is hanging. But I can't take with queen because my d7 pawn is hanging. So knight c4 takes, I have to take with pawn, and then his knight comes into, he could come into a5 because my queen is tied to the d7 pawn. So that's not so attractive. Maybe bishop h6 with the idea of taking and knight d3. So this pins the pawn to his, you know, queen and king, so it's an indirect defense. Now my h5 pawn is hanging, but he can't take it right away because if I play bishop takes f4, and then if he plays queen takes knight d3 check, and then I take his queen. And he cannot protect the pawn by playing g3 because of the long diagonal. Alright, let's double check this tactic. Bishop takes f4. His queen is pinned to his king. If he takes knight d3 check, and he cannot take with the knight, so his queen is going to remain unprotected. So this is a winning combination. The the pin combined with the discovered attack. I think he had to play rook hf1 in that situation to protect the f-pawn with the rook. And then maybe I'd play the pawn to, maybe I play pawn to b4, kicking his knight away, or rook c8, or bishop c6, protecting the d7 pawn. Okay. So yeah, we got a few points. We're just shy of 1600. So maybe when I make one of these live blitzes in the future, we will begin to see some more advanced opponents. Thank you for watching, YouTube, and have a good one.